Have you ever felt your patience being tested by life's storm? In difficult moments, it can feel like everything is against you, like the walls around you are crumbling. What if I told you that there is meaning in all of this? That your pain, your betrayals, are not coincidences, but part of a bigger picture that will ultimately set everything right. The famous Roman emperor and philosopher Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not over external events." Indeed, there is power in keeping calm when the storm rages around you. As painful as the wound of betrayal may be, there is something we can do to ensure this pain does not destroy us. It can become a catalyst for inner transformation if we learn to respond to it the right way. Now let's take a look at those who wrong us. What happens to those who deceive, betray, and manipulate? Believe it or not, the world has a way of setting things right on its own. As Seneca wrote, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." And now I will reveal to you 7 powerful signs that karma is already working on those who have wronged you. Get ready for some unexpected revelations. For instance, have you ever noticed how the people who hurt you suddenly begin to lose their calm, as if they are losing something more than you? You'll be surprised when you realize that their internal highs and lows are just the beginning. But more on this in point 3. Point 1. Losing their calm. The first sign of karma. Have you ever noticed how some people who betray or hurt others seem calm and confident until one day their inner peace starts to crumble? This is the first sign that karma is already working on them. When someone tries to manipulate, deceive, or cause harm to another, they might think that everything will remain without consequences, that life will go on as usual. But karma is not an immediate reaction. It starts with something much deeper, the loss of inner peace. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "All your thoughts should serve your reason, not the other way around." This reminds us that we must control our thoughts and emotions, not let them control us. When someone commits evil, they don't realize how their mind begins to work against them. During the day, they might appear calm, but what happens at night? They can't rid themselves of the thoughts of what they've done. Will they feel at peace when they remember what happened? No. And this is not just a feeling of guilt. It's the beginning of how karma starts to work. They may not even realize that their own thoughts and emotions are the very first karmic consequences they face. These small signs shouldn't be underestimated. It may seem like the person is unaffected, continuing to live their life, but the more they hide their inner discomfort, the more it grows. It doesn't always manifest as a huge catastrophe. Sometimes it's simply silence inside. And this silence is the first sign that karma has already started working on them. Life example. Imagine you're working with a colleague who constantly manipulates situations at work, deceives others to climb the career ladder. Everything seems to be going well for them, but suddenly they start complaining about sleep issues, anxiety, and uncertainty. Their success begins to bring them mental discomfort, and this is no coincidence. This is the inner echo of what they've done. No one sees these changes, but they're happening, and this is part of how karma begins to work. Practical exercise. If you feel inner discomfort after someone has wronged you, take a pause. Allow yourself a few deep breaths in and out. This will help you maintain your calm and realize that your reaction is something you can control. This is your strength. Your ability to remain calm even in difficulties is the best sign that you are on the right path. Point 2. Their actions become self-destruction. Sometimes karma doesn't come immediately as public punishment or a major tragedy, but it always manifests through the internal changes felt by those who cause harm. Have you ever noticed how people who hurt others eventually start making choices that harm themselves? Instead of gaining from their actions, they begin to feel the consequences in their own lives. Their dissatisfaction with life, insecurity, and internal anxiety start to grow, and even the smallest details begin to take on enormous significance. This is not coincidence. It's how karma works through their own accumulated mistakes. When someone lies or betrays, it doesn't go unnoticed. Their choices create a chain reaction that returns to them in the form of growing stress, anxiety, and a feeling of helplessness. They may try to control the situation, but eventually they realize that their actions are creating their own problems. This inner self-destructive force is one of the most painful manifestations of karma. A person may try to continue living their life, but every wrong choice, every betrayal, is like a stone thrown into a lake, creating ripples. And those ripples always return to the one who created them. These consequences can come in the form of unexpected work problems, financial difficulties, or relationship distress. Life example. Imagine a person who uses others to achieve their goals, manipulating colleagues, getting ahead at others' expense. At first, everything goes smoothly. Career growth, salary increases, benefits from unethical methods. But after a few months or years, they begin to notice their connections with people becoming weaker. Colleagues start to feel alienated, shared projects become less successful, and even the person themselves starts feeling the cracks in their own inner confidence. They may not notice it at first, but eventually they realize that what they did to others has now become their own burden. Practical exercise. Each time you notice that your actions are leading to negative results, take a pause and ask yourself, am I contributing to something that helps everyone? Or am I just trying to reach my goal without considering what I leave behind? Write down your thoughts and pay attention to how your actions can affect you and those around you. This will not only help you avoid mistakes, but also help build healthier, more honest relationships. Point 3. They don't realize they've lost more than you. When someone betrays, manipulates, or hurts you, they might think that once you leave their life, everything will go back to normal. They think they can easily continue their path, leaving all consequences behind. But often, the loss they experience is much deeper than just the fact that you leave. Karma doesn't always show up as immediate punishment, but it makes itself known through the inner emptiness and isolation that follows. Epictetus said, "What happens to you is not your problem. The problem is how you react to it." And this applies not only to how we respond to painful situations, but also to how others eventually start realizing their mistakes. They may live under the illusion that everything around them will remain unchanged, that they'll simply find a replacement, but in reality, their ability to trust people and restore their relationships begins to crumble. Karma doesn't only work on a physical level, where we see consequences like loss of money or opportunities. It often works in the depths of the soul, where emptiness lingers, and no material goods or new connections can fill it. Those who betray eventually begin to feel that they can no longer build genuine relationships. Their ability to trust, love, and open up to others diminishes. They might not notice it immediately, but after a while, when their surroundings change and everything becomes superficial and distant, they begin to realize that by betraying you, they lost the most valuable thing, the ability to be real and open. Life example. Imagine someone betraying a friend, thinking they can do without them. They might achieve their goals, take the money, or benefit from the situation, but after a few years they notice their friends becoming more distant. They no longer trust them, and they can't find someone who would be as open and ready to give unconditional support as before. They try to rebuild relationships, but every time they face the same walls, people no longer open up to them the way they once did. Their inner world starts losing its former brightness. This is karma, not in the form of external punishment, but in the fact that the person loses touch with themselves and others. Practical exercise. Today, try to reflect on where you've lost trust or sincerity in your relationships with others. Ask yourself, how have my actions affected my bonds with those around me? Write down your thoughts. It's important to remember that every betrayal or lie not only impacts others but also reflects back on us. Only by understanding our mistakes and changing our approach can we restore sincerity in our relationships. Point 4. They begin to feel alone and isolated. When someone causes harm to another, they often believe they can leave the past behind and move forward as if nothing happened. But karma has its way, and it always catches up with those who disturb the inner order. One of the most powerful manifestations of karma is the isolation that the person begins to feel. Their inner world starts to lose connection with reality, and loneliness becomes their new reality, one they try to avoid but cannot. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Only that which you are capable of changing within yourself has real power to change the world around you." This means that the internal changes we experience after making mistakes are often reflected in our external lives. People who betray may look outwardly successful, surrounded by friends or wealth, but inside, they are experiencing a deep sense of loneliness that cannot be masked by any external achievements. When we hurt others, we don't just destroy relationships. We create a wall that separates us from the possibility of real closeness. Isolation isn't just a physical separation. It's also an internal estrangement that slowly breaks apart connections, even when it's not immediately visible. The person starts feeling how their social environment, what once was comforting and supportive, begins to retreat from them. Former friends and close people start feeling their true intentions, and those who once trusted them now look away. Life. Example: imagine your colleague, who has always been your friend, decides to deceive you to gain an advantage in a particular situation. At first, they think they can continue living as before. However, after a few months, they notice how their colleagues start distancing themselves. They try to engage them in new projects, but the looks they receive are colder, and some even refuse to collaborate. What was once friendly and warm is now filled with alienation. They begin to feel this deeply, even though they maintain a confident facade. Inside, they feel alone, even in a large crowd. Quote by Seneca, "You cannot control others, but you can control yourself." The alienation that those who betray experience is the result of their own inner disconnection with the world around them. Karma doesn't appear as a public punishment here, but gradually reveals itself through isolation and loneliness. Practical exercise. Today, reflect on whether there is someone in your life who, after committing a betrayal or offense, has started to feel distanced. Ask yourself how this person is reacting to your detachment. Try not only to avoid them, but consciously evaluate how karma is at play in your life. Perhaps it is through such isolation that they will begin to realize their mistakes and have the chance to change. Point 5. Their lies catch up with them. When someone deceives or betrays, they might think their lie will remain unnoticed, that they'll be able to get away with it without consequences. But there is one undeniable truth. The truth will always come to the surface. Lies, manipulations, and deceptions, they all have a tendency to unravel. Karma often works in such a way that sooner or later, the truth exposes the lies and what was hidden comes into the light. And this doesn't always happen immediately, but it will happen eventually. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "All your thoughts should serve your reason, not the other way around." This reminds us that we must control our thoughts and emotions, not let them control us. When someone deceives or betrays, they try to manipulate not only their surroundings but also their own mind, creating a false sense of control over the situation. However, even when they try to hide their mistakes, their actions will inevitably come to light. A lie cannot remain forever hidden. And even if this process doesn't occur instantly, the truth always finds its way. It's not a mistake, it's the natural order. Deception cannot last forever. At first, it may seem like a victory, but over time, it starts to crumble from within. The person who lies begins to feel how that lie poisons their inner peace and reduces their ability to be honest with themselves. Life example. Imagine a person who constantly manipulates facts to elevate themselves in the eyes of others. They invent stories, distort the truth, and try to appear more important or successful. At first, everything goes smoothly. They gain trust, and people support them. But over time, their lies begin to fall apart. Those who once believed in them gradually start questioning their words, and eventually, the entire web of deception unravels. While they may try to hold on to the benefits, they are losing respect and trust from others. The lie that once seemed like a victory becomes their heaviest burden. Quote by Seneca, "You cannot control events, but you can always control your reaction to them." When we face lies or manipulation, it's important to remember our reaction is what we control. The calmer and clearer we respond, the less we allow the lies to have power over us. Practical exercise. Today, when you encounter a situation where you feel something is dishonest or opaque, try to pause. Ask yourself how you're reacting to this and what you can do to avoid letting the lie affect your inner balance. Point 6. They fear losing control over you. One of the most common fears among those who try to manipulate others is the fear of losing control. When they hurt you or use you for their own benefit, they often believe they have power over your emotions, reactions, or decisions. But what if I told you this is nothing but an illusion? Karma doesn't only work through external punishments, but also through the loss of control over those who try to manipulate others. The moment you stop giving in to their attempts to control you, their power begins to weaken. Epictetus said, "No one can make you unhappy without your consent." When you allow someone to influence your emotional reaction, when you give them the ability to manipulate you, you are essentially handing over your power. And it's through this that people who betray or manipulate begin to feel that they have lost control over the situation. They can no longer manipulate you because you stopped yielding to their influence. This is where the power of karma shows itself. Those who try to control others will, sooner or later, lose control over their own lives. When you don't allow manipulations to throw you off balance, you not only restore your inner peace, but you also send a signal to the person trying to control you that their actions no longer have power over you. And this is the most powerful response you can give. Instead of lashing out or emotionally reacting to manipulations, you simply leave everything on their shoulders, and that starts to work in your favor. Life example. Imagine a situation where someone in your life constantly tries to manipulate you, creating scenes, making you feel guilty for your decisions or choices. At first, you might try to explain yourself, respond to their provocations, but one day you realize that these manipulations only stir your emotions and give them more power, so you decide to remain calm and not respond. This change allows you to keep your peace and takes away the manipulator's power. Eventually, they start feeling like they can no longer control you, and the feeling of losing control becomes a heavy burden for them. Quote by Seneca, "He who masters himself is the master of the world." This principle from the Stoics can be applied to every manipulation. You can only control your reaction, and that is the most powerful form of freedom. Practical exercise. The next time someone tries to manipulate you, try not to react emotionally. Take a pause, take a few deep breaths, and focus on your inner calm. Think, I have power over my emotions. How do I want to respond to this? Instead of giving the manipulator control over you, maintain calm and clarity. This will help you regain control and strengthen your inner power. Point 7. They begin to doubt their own actions. When people hurt or betray others, they may initially feel invincible, confident in their righteousness, and free from consequences. But one of the most powerful forms of karma manifests not in external punishment, but in the internal doubts that start to creep into their thoughts. Karma doesn't always show up immediately, but it will eventually make itself known when, over time, these people begin to feel the weight of their actions on their conscience. And this is a strong signal that their lies, betrayals, and manipulations have not gone without consequence. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If someone shows me I am wrong, I will be happy to change, for I seek the truth, not to be right." The same applies to those who hurt or betray. When they make wrong choices, they don't immediately realize how their conscience begins to weigh on them, how they begin to doubt their actions and question their own beliefs. Eventually, they may begin asking themselves why it's so hard to maintain their calm, why they can't find inner balance, even when everything seems stable on the outside. These doubts aren't just an emotional experience. They're a sign that their inner essence is starting to resist what they've done. When a person changes their attitude towards reality, their doubts and internal conflicts slowly make them realize that they've broken not just moral boundaries, but their own inner harmony. And even if it's not visible on the outside, their doubtful attitude towards themselves and their actions is a clear sign that karma is already working in their life. Life example. Imagine someone deciding to use your kindness for their own benefit. At first, they feel successful. Everything looks like a win. They achieve what they want without thinking of the consequences. But over time, when others begin to avoid them, when they start feeling internal discomfort from what they did, they begin to question themselves. What have I really lost because of my actions? This moment of doubt and inner searching for answers about their own morality is the first manifestation of karma, which doesn't always come in the form of external punishment, but through deep dissatisfaction with themselves. Quote by Seneca, "Every action has its result, and every result is karma, consisting of actions and thoughts." When we make mistakes, they don't always immediately come back to us in the form of obvious punishment. Sometimes the result of karma shows up in doubts and a search for answers within ourselves. Practical exercise. Today, when you begin to doubt your own actions or feel that someone else is negatively influencing you, ask yourself, what exactly am I feeling at this moment? Does this align with my true beliefs? This will help you better understand how karma works, not only on others, but also within your own world. Acknowledge your doubts and allow them to become a push towards self-development and change. Today, we've explored how karma unfolds in our lives when others cause us pain. It turns out that karma doesn't always come instantly or in obvious forms, but its signs are always present and they run deep. It manifests through the loss of peace, doubts, self-destruction, and even isolation for those who hurt us. Those who deceive or betray often don't realize that what they inflict on us will eventually return to them, not as external punishment, but as a loss of trust, inner peace, and genuine connections. Karma isn't just about retribution, it's a natural response to our actions. As we've seen, it operates not only in the external world, but also within us. Your power lies in remaining calm, being internally strong, and not allowing manipulations or betrayals to change your inner peace. Remember, you have control only over yourself, how you respond to the situations life presents. And that gives you incredible freedom. Stay true to your values. Don't let others' actions take away your energy, and trust that karma will set things right in its own time. If this video helped you discover the power of inner strength and understanding how karma works, make sure to subscribe for more lessons on Stoicism and self-growth. I'm grateful you're here and that this journey to inner strength has been valuable for you. Don't be afraid to stay on your path. Karma will return, and you will see how your patience and wisdom bring you true power.